Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mang. Welcome back to Solo Role Manging. Featuring the Heroes of Adventure system, which is just really good. Can never say enough good things about it. So before we get into a recap of what's happened so far in this campaign with this character, I'll show off that I have actually digitized the world map of Eristhyn. So using Incarnate, I actually paid for the premium at this point, mostly just for like the full like HD 8K resolution or whatever. But yeah, I just kind of whipped together in a very basic way, just land masses and just broad geographical sort of shapes and stuff. I'm not really a map guy because I'm not really an art guy. I struggle to kind of just visualize what I want or anything. So it would be nice to maybe someday have somebody else come in and just like really flesh it out. Because yeah, I mean, I don't know. So it looks kind of shitty, but it's functional. I would say that this is a functional map. So yeah, I mean, you know, for geographical features for other continents that I haven't really been on, I didn't really have much specific in mind. There was only a few things that I was like, yeah, I kind of want that to be there. Kuros, you know, we had kind of already mapped out pretty well. It's very forested, most of it. There's the farmland, there's the spores, which have stopped spreading at this point, but they still exist. The big mountain range right in the middle, you know, the sort of barren region up north with the last bastion fortress, followed by this unnamed horrible region. The desert then on the western side of Kuros. Aeroth, you know, I think it's not really... I don't think it's good or realistic that there's just this much, like, plains. There should be far more, like, features than just green grass and forests and stuff. But, again, I'm not a map guy. I don't know. Someday, maybe. So actually, this is where my family that I'm DMing for, they're playing a campaign, and I plopped them into this world as well. So they're actually right here currently. This is where I decided Brandonsford is, from the Black Worm of Brandonsford, which features a bunch of trees, a river right next to some mountains, and I figured, okay, that works. And they're on their way to this settlement, on their way to this town by the lake. So that's fun. The only really notable stuff of Aeroth, there's the big mountain range right in the middle there. And then the eastern side has like a big bog. And then like just barren regions with orc encampments. And another mountain range with a dwarf city in the middle there. And then here's the capital of the Golden Union, Staunton, right on the coast there. Lyria is where the elves used to reside before something cataclysmic happened, like right here. And now the whole continent is just shrouded in this fog. And this was very much inspired by the recent game Enshrouded. I like that whole concept for like an adventure of just having a region that the players would want to explore, because there's a lot of treasure there and things like that, but they can only spend a certain amount of time delving in before being pushed back out. I kind of like that idea. Talus, it's where the Empire of Nim is, with all the giant walking titans. So most of this, the center of this whole area is where most of the titans are. They'll kind of go around these mountains as well. So this is mostly kind of just flat territory, not that many trees, because it's all just kind of been stomped down and stuff. There's a desert here. I had to throw in a desert because I have a desert Colossus that I wanted to a desert titan to include. Cool looking mountain range with a big volcano, giant forest up here, very jungly, things like that. I could have done a lot more work on Talus. I want to emphasize that it's really just inhospitable, but not, it's lush. Like, it's not all a barren wasteland. It's a very green continent, but it's just horrible. This area, this is where the commune is. I just wanted like a picturesque utopia sort of region up here. That is just filled with undead servants. Yokane, this is where I kind of have like this world's version of like Abrahamic religions. I kind of wanted a sort of a Middle Eastern feel to it. And yeah, I'm probably leaning towards like religious extremism and a lot of tensions between these two little continents. Because obviously they don't approve very much of the necromancy. And then Amura over here, it's the sort of the coldest. Discord used to be silent. And then just very recently, Discord now has started making noises again for me. I don't know what that is. I'm just going to close out of it for now. So Armora, yeah, largely snow and ice and cold, but down south it's a little bit more vibrant. And so I wanted some port cities. The Union is trying to really colonize this whole continent. But the further north they go, it gets just less populated. Because the northerners are there and there's a lot of tension. And then I had this idea for just like a giant lake. And I wanted just like kind of a floating village. Like I want there to be all these like houseboats. And then they'll like come together to form small communities sometimes. They'll trade or whatever. But then they'll break apart and drift away. And some people just like to be off in the northern part of the lake on their own instead of sticking with the others. I don't know, I just like that concept. And that's pretty much it. So again, just for a recap, for us, Garland is right here in Guthwald. And I do have names for these other settlements around here on a paper somewhere. But yeah. So that's that. Okay, let's recap. So, May 4th was the last session. We snuck into the city. We met with the governor's aide, Hieronymus, one of the governor's aides. And we explained our plan to him of somehow resolving this spore issue based on a rumor that was well known. And he agreed that if I did manage this and pulled it off and I was alive and well afterwards and it did actually stop the spread of the spores, the city of Guthwald would pay me 8,500 silver. So then I flew over to the spores. I went into the ruined church there with the giant mushroom sticking out. I found some fungal priests in there. I used the terraform scroll to make a giant pit, killing the priests. I then found the gem and tossed the gem into the ocean. All well and good. So yeah, I dumped it all in the ocean. I stripped out of my clothes, took a bath in the ocean. Then I just went back to the slums and I drank for a couple days. I also found out some info about the criminal elements in Guthwald, and I did expand on this a little bit. Basically, I decided that I want Staunton, the capital, I want that to be very kind of organized crime. Basically, I wanted that to be kind of like Camor from Gentlemen Bastards, where there's kind of one kingpin. That if you're doing crime in Staunton, you're doing it under his purview, essentially. But Guthwald, I decided it's definitely a newer city. And no one has really kind of muscled in and taken charge of all the crime there, so it's pretty disorganized. There is one minor crime boss that has like a dozen or so criminals under his watch. But yeah, mostly it's just people that have a criminal inclination, doing pickpocketing, doing break-ins, you know, whatever crime that they can get, and oftentimes they get caught and they get punished. And that's just the way of it. There are some merchants that are willing to purchase stolen goods or illegal goods, such as my scepter. There are a few in town that are known. And then there are also a couple merchants that do deal under the table in various illicit substances and contraband. And those are not basically any of the merchants that are willing to purchase illegal goods. A couple of those are willing to also sell stuff to people off the street or so. Not public. I mean, you have to know somebody, but a few of the other ones that just purchase the stolen goods, they kind of sell them off to some of their contacts, probably like the other merchants and stuff. So that's the state of criminality in Guthwald. On May 7th, we snuck back into the city. We got paid 500 from Bartholomew for our first quest that we ever signed up for. And then we also got 8,500 from the governor. And that was all deposited into a bank account at the major bank of Guthwald, which is really just a branch that's headquartered in Staunton. And that's Miraggio's. Pretty much the only real bank of renown in the Golden Union. So we have 8,500 in the bank. And we have 115 silver on our person. Is this correct? I don't know if this is accurate now. Did I not update this or something? Now I don't remember. But where did the 500 from Bartholomew go? I feel like I should have more money than this. Damn, I don't remember. I feel like I would have written down if I spent the 500 like immediately. So maybe this didn't save. Alright, I mean, I guess I'll just adjust it back to 615. I don't know. It's possible I didn't save. Alright, so that leaves us in Guthwald. The quarantine is still on just because they want to be certain. You know, it'll probably go on for another week or so, just to be absolutely certain. Because the main thing right now is they don't want an outbreak in the city, because that'll really shut things down. So they just want to be sure about that. They're going to keep pushing back the spores, and, you know, they're going to keep growing, because that's all very important. So we're in the city. We're on the street right now. You know, it's early morning. I spent it all on booze. No, I promised Patrick, rest his soul, that I would never drink again, Durden, even though I already did. I already broke that. Oh well. It was in his memory, goddammit. And yeah, so we got some cash money on hand, and then we've got a whole lot of money in the bank. And now we need to decide, where do we go from here? This is the idea that I had, and I think it's a pretty cool idea. I think it's a pretty fun idea. I think that if you had a group of players and this was like their campaign idea, I think it would be pretty cool. But the idea that I had was to open a zoo. Specifically, like a magical creature zoo. Where people could come and like just look at like a gelatinous cube, you know, or I mean, so many things. Like if we go to the monster list and all the things that could be in this zoo potentially, you know, not stuff like an angel or something, but you know, like an ant queen, that would be pretty sweet. Probably terrifying, but pretty sweet. An asswang? I don't know. A bar guest? I mean, a lot of these things are terrifying. I mean, a basilisk would be a little tricky. We'd have to construct a very interesting cell for that. A Bigfoot? Or is that inhumane? That might be inhumane. I'm not sure. There might be some legalities there. A chimera? I mean, that would be pretty awesome. Cockatrice. A death worm. Demons. I mean, yeah, a dragon, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. And there could be some regular stuff in there as well. I mean, elephants are always cool. A bear is always cool. But a fire phoenix is also pretty cool. Gelatinous mass, of course. Giant ants. Giant crabs. The giant frog. That motherfucker. We shouldn't have killed him. We should have put him in a zoo. Giant serpents. Gnomes. A griffin. A hydra. Manticore. Rock monsters. Rocks. These are things. These are all things. Stegosaurus. There's dinosaurs, man. We can get dinosaurs. A kelpie, an Irish water horse. Yeah, things like that. I just thought it would be like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. There you go. I just thought it would be kind of cool to, like, one, go out and gather and capture some of these creatures alive. I think that might be some fun adventures. And it kind of fits with our overall goal of, like, using magic to embetter people's lives. You know, kind of almost demystifying magic as something that only available and known to the most secretive and highest of sorts. You know, everyone should have access to magic and magical forces and magical creatures and things like that. And this is just a part of our lives. Now, I don't know if a velociraptor is a very magical creature, but it's pretty cool and people would want to see it. And now I'm sounding like John Hammond from Jurassic Park, and that's probably where this is going to go. So we'd have to, I mean, some of these things could just be thrown into like a cell, you know, like a whatever. But other things, we'd have to get almost a bit more like SCP with it. Like, we'd have to come up with some specific containment cells just so they don't cause danger to anything. You're big on cryptids and mythic monsters. Yeah, so am I. I mean, I think it's pretty sweet. So, obviously there's a lot involved with what we want to do there. So if we look at property and enterprises, this is constructions or organizations in which the hero has invested money. Their primary purpose is to create interesting side quests. Income generation is the secondary purpose. I think we can agree that the zoo idea fits all those notes. So, of course, we're going to start small. Because we're not going to have that many creatures. And eventually, we won't need to actually go out and get these creatures. We'll be able to just pay people to, like, bring us creatures. We'll be able to buy the creatures in some... But I can't imagine right now there's... Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that no one else has a magical zoo. So, capturing creatures alive is not really something that's done too often, compared to just killing them and harvesting them for their, like, resources. So, if we look at prices... A shop is 2,500. A trading post is 5,000. I feel like this may lean towards trading post in price. This is now Monster Hunter. Yeah, essentially, but we can't kill anything. We gotta capture them. That's our money maker. So build time is 1 week per 1,000 cost. So let's just, I mean, we're gonna eventually have to kind of just pick something here of money and value and stuff. So let's say 5,000. Now this, the trading post has a maintenance value of 2, so that's 2,000 silver pieces a year that I have to spend in maintenance costs. And then it has an income of a D4, so up to 4,000 a year. I don't know if that's high. That might be high. That's the tricky thing, is I do want to make money on this, but I also want it to be somewhat readily. I keep going back to Jurassic Park where he's like, we'll have a coupon day, or you know, like everyone in the world deserves to see these creatures. So yeah, I mean, I guess we won't get too into the nitty gritty of like how much I'm charging for a ticket or anything like that. We'll just stick with maintenance cost of 2 and the income of D4 and go with that. So that's we're just gonna have to slap 5,000 silver down on the table, and it's going to take 5 weeks for them to construct this. Now, the question is, before we get into anything, the question I had was, where do I want to build this zoo? This is going to have to be kind of an outdoor, like outside of a city sort of thing. People are going to have to walk a little bit to get to it. we don't have the funds to build in a big city, nor do we really want to the risks involved in having a bunch of magical creatures. Probably, you're gonna have more issues with like the local authorities, permits, and who knows what. I mean, there's gonna be more eyes on you in the middle of a city. So we want to be outside of a city, and really the debate is between outside of Guthwald or going over and being outside of Staunton. They both kind of have their pros and cons. You feel like it shouldn't be cheap because of the cost of catching and feeding these animals. Well, I mean, the catching of the animals right now is entirely on me as like side quests. So that's not being factored into the 5,000. The feeding of the animals, I want to say that's kind of part of the maintenance costs, but I mean, I don't know. Because the maintenance costs, I assume, are like your employees and things like that. So I assume it's all... that's all factored in. So if we build it outside of Guthwald, we have probably less eyes on us. We're not outside of the biggest city in the world, basically. So we probably have a little bit more flexibility in just kind of operating and doing our own thing. Depends on how weird of a creature it is. Yeah, and we'll have to get into... what if it only feeds on human souls? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we want to have something like that in the zoo. There might be some ethics questions there. But I mean, ethics question is what I'm sort of talking about outside of Guthwald. I think there'll just be less scrutiny. But at the same time, if we go to Staunton, there's more people. There's just going to be more traffic. There's going to be more business. But Guthwald is a pretty... It's doing all right. So... And Guthwald is kind of Garland's city. He's lived here for a while, so I'm leaning towards just building it here in Guthwald. Okay, so fine, yeah, okay. So let's say we're gonna build a small zoo outside of Guthwald. Basically, this map isn't exactly how I don't know why I did it this way. This off branch of the river is supposed to be much closer. Because in between here, this is where the dregs are with the slums. So I want to build on the other side of the river, basically. And they're probably not gonna they're not gonna start construction on that until after the quarantine's lifted. So we're probably more looking at like 6 weeks or so. But now I need some creatures. While they're putting together my zoo, I need to go out there and capture some creatures. So, Durden, what do you think? What are some creatures that could be available on this landmass? Either in the mountains, in the forests, in the desert, or maybe in the ocean as well. I mean, any of those potentially acceptable. But I want to start with, say, 4 or 5 creatures that are suitably weird enough. Like, I don't want a bear and a boar and a deer in there, Nobody's gonna come and see that. But if I have even one just really weird, magical creature, they're going to someone's gonna come. someone will frequent the business just to check it out. And we'll call this Garland's Emporium of the Weird and Unusual. Pokemon? Yeah, I don't think that's gonna fly. How about a Griffin? Classic. I agree, a Griffin is classic. Let's look at the stat line for a Griffin, which is kind of cheating, but give me a break. I mean, you could probably, let's say you could read about some of these facts. So it's a level 6 creature. It's got 30 health, 15 defense, a D12 skill die. Can attack twice per turn for D12 damage. It can fly, of course. It can roar, which causes fear. Grapple you with its claws, and do a power attack. This is not a creature to be taken lightly. We're gonna have to hire some help. Now, I can fly. We know that. I can also teleport things, but it's the odds of me actually teleporting the Griffin are pretty slim. I can also become invisible, but I don't know how invisibility affects, like, smell or something. Like, you know, it might still be able to track me. It's just definitely not something we're going to want to take on by ourselves. So we're going to have to hire some fellow hunters. Let's see here. So this is cost per level of well, this might be even a specialist if we wanted to go for that. Otherwise we could just get cell swords. Sort of hard to say. I mean, a specialist. I don't know. I guess we need a plan before I just enlist a bunch of brutes, because we don't want it dead, and that's going to be sort of weird. So how does one capture a Griffin? What's the best way? Probably a net of some kind, right? So we want a bunch of guys that are brave enough to approach a Griffin. Like, that's violent. And they're able to work together to throw, like, a giant net over it. And then hold it down. And then we probably have to... I don't know. What do you think? Put it to sleep? Do some sort of alchemy? We need a ranger. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right about the ranger. I agree with that. That's the best way to actually track the Griffin. So that probably falls under a specialist. So what do we think? Like 5 cell swords and then a ranger? It's probably good. But to get a cell sword that won't die in one hit, I mean, that's expensive. If you look at their health, you know, the highest level 20 or level 10 health here, they get 23. Level 10 gets 23 health. But if we say we want 13 health as like a baseline, that's level 5. So that's 50 silver per cell sword per day. 5 of them, that's 250 silver a day. I cannot fund that for very long. So perhaps we skimp out. And we go level 2? Maybe level 2. So level 2 sellswords will cost me 20 silver, so that's 100 silver per day just for the goons. They're gonna help me net this thing. Let's expect this to take maybe a few days. Couple days, we'll see. To go... did it say where griffins hang out? I'm expecting in the mountains. No, it doesn't really say. Oh no, here it says it returns to their nest atop the highest mountain peaks. So yeah, in the mountains. So 2 to 3 days. And so 100 silver. That's going to be 200 to 300 silver for the trip just on the sellsword. The ranger is going to be, I guess, double that. We'll still make him level 2, but a specialist is 20 silver. So not, it's just 1, so that would be, say, 50, 60 silver. So all told, the help will cost me like 250 to 350 or so. Then, yeah, we'll need the equipment. I have to supply all the equipment and everything for these people. Climbing gear, rations, and some sort of alchemical concoction to knock this thing out. I don't know if... I assume... I don't know what that'll cost me. I mean, here's incense with a will 10 save or sleep. That costs 150 silver. And we need something that's going to put a fucking griffin to sleep. Here's dream sleep. Sleep, gain 1 health per d6 hours. That's 300. So I think we should expect to pay like 300. Which is a lot. I don't know how long it sleeps, but then we have to transport a griffin back down the mountains. Without it waking up and breaking loose and stuff like that. So we're really gonna have to bind this thing quite a bit. And then actually, like, carrying it. Do we think, like, 7 men or so are going to be able to carry this down a mountain? It says its size was huge, I think. Huge? Damn it, Durden, why do you do this to me? Yeah, huge. It's like the size of a dragon. Although I don't think it's that big. But yeah, it's a pretty big boy. We're gonna need a lot of rope. We might need chains, really. I don't know, ropes. But I guess if you tie something up completely and tightly, even rope could probably do it. That's sounds like famous last words, right? Chain, though, that's gonna be expensive shit. $10 feet of chain is 10. And we would need a lot of chain. Whereas 50 feet of rope is 5. I could start with something smaller. I could, but a griffin would be a hell of a catch. And that's the thing. I mean, we don't have to kill it. And we don't want to kill it. So I think going in with a plan to capture it is easier than going in with a plan to try and kill it. money costs, though. I mean, we're going to be burning through every cent we have. I'm mostly okay with what we have. The question is the carrying part and the time that it will take. Let's look to magic. That solves problems. Something to make something change its form temporarily or make it buoyant. Here's levitate. Allows the target to float in the air up or down. That lasts an encounter. And we need something that lasts multiple turns. So then that would sort of ease it up. Shrink. So I could shrink it one size down, but again, that lasts an encounter. Yeah, to get something that lasts 2 turns, that will really help. Little tricky. Well, no, I mean, I can teleport stuff. And if it's unconscious, it won't get a save. It's just going to be a check on my part. And I can spend more health in order for it to be like... I can teleport anything, like as far as I want, really. So I could teleport it just like down to, you know, base ground. Charm the Griffin, yeah, or mind control. Charming is a potential option. It says that it can try to resist as a free action each turn, and it lasts for an encounter. That's the thing. An encounter is literally 10 minutes. And resisting each turn is like 5 to 10 seconds or something, you know, something like that. So it's really meant for combat. You know, I could maybe charm it just to make it easier to throw the net over it and get it drugged. But then I have to kind of reveal to this group of sellswords and stuff that I have this scepter that is an illegal object that can charm people and things. Well, no, so I guess I can't teleport as far as I want. I can only teleport 240 feet. So it would be 3 health for me to teleport the Griffin 240 feet. Which isn't that far, is it? Because a football field is what, 900 feet? So it's like not even a third of a football field. It's not very far. I don't know if that works then. Shit. We could just hire like a shit ton of just generic laborers. Right? That are just there to carry stuff for me. Level 1 laborers. That's 5 silver per day. So we could just hire like 10 of those. charm them? You want me to charm all the people that I've hired? Assuming I succeed on all of them, and then 10 minutes later, they just all realize that I used an illegal spell on them. So then they all turn on me and murder me? Yeah, that's not a good idea. Okay, so 10, that's an extra 50, 100, 150. But it's the logistics of the thing, you know? It's like, this is basically like carrying the biggest couch you've ever seen in your life down a mountain with a group of people, hoping that the couch doesn't wake up and start shredding you, ripping out of its ropes. That's an evil move. Yes, I'm aware. That's why I don't really want to use the Scepter of Endless Charm. I want to sell it. I mean, probably I should just destroy it, really, if I'm very much against evil stuff. But I also need money. So, we'll probably try and sell it. Again, I think most players and DMs wouldn't think about this too much. They would just say, okay, you got 15 people, they carry the Griffin down. I mean, maybe. I'm sure plenty of DMs would raise an eyebrow at it. There just isn't really, like, a good system of conveyance in these times. Like, there's no, like, levitating sled or something I could have. I need to put it to sleep, make it float, and then fly it out of there. Okay, well, now you're thinking. Now you're thinking. Make it float. So, levitation. Why do I always lose my spells? So, levitation then, yeah. That lasts for 10 minutes. I can fly for a long time, but yeah, 10 minutes levitation. How far could I move through the air in 10 minutes time? Unless we buy we could buy like a charged scroll. That would last for an hour. I think with an hour we could just fly down off the mountain and that would be no problem. So I think that's probably the best plan, Durden. You're right. Okay, so then skip the laborers. We hire the sellswords, hire the ranger. We find the griffin. We track it down. We get the net over it. They hold it down while somebody administers this concoction to it to put it to sleep. Then I use a charged levitation scroll to make it float for an hour. I fly it down. The other people I hired can then just go back to town on their own. And I get it to somewhere. I think we probably should wait a few weeks for them to like build some sort of a cell to hold this griffin for me. So then I can just fly it in there and then we'll be okay. So yeah, let's go with that plan. Sell it to a criminal and then snitch it to the authorities. I could do that, but you know, as DMX once said, loose lips is loose clips. So let's just spend some time in town. What is the price, do we think, of like an inn? That's gotta be written here. Food and lodging. A room per night costs 5 silver. Let's say we want to stay at somewhat of a nicer place. So let's say 10 silver for the room per night. I think that I don't know if that includes food. But we haven't really been tracking cost of food per day, because most RPG campaigns that do that are kind of lame. So let's just say 10 silver per day in town here, because we want to stay in the city. We don't want to go back to the dregs. We're in here now. So let's spend 3 weeks. Let's just have 3 weeks go by. So that's 210. Wow, that really adds up, doesn't it? 210 silver just on living in town. Damn. Yeah, we're gonna say that includes meals. Yeah. All right. So then 3 weeks from May 7th. That would be now May 28th. Waited for zoo construction, so I'm just gonna deduct 5 grand from my bank account. That's all been put in. During the 3 weeks, though, let's try and sell this scepter. And let's... I found out info about criminal elements in Guthwald. I think we can say that part of that was I found the name of a merchant that's willing to buy some questionable goods. So let's say we go there. Let's do a... I don't know, I tend to overuse the deterministic table. The question I was going to ask was, you know, is the merchant willing to buy the scepter? So I guess, yeah, we'll just do a deterministic one. Maybe I should do this with advantage, because he's already... I mean, maybe. But it is kind of a high-end thing, so we'll just roll it. 9. Yes, he is. He's willing to buy it. Now, how much is he willing to pay for it? I mean, there is a how much table here, but it's really... I don't know in what situations this would be used for. When would I ever need to decide, like, something that ranges from a pinch to boundless on one table? I mean, it's, like, crazy. So now I valued this at 5,000 silver, but that might be, like, absurdly high. Because that's enough to buy a zoo. But it is really potentially powerful. In you know, the wrong hands. That seems like a lot of money, though, for just, like, the average criminal merchant to just have on hand and be willing to pass over. Especially considering, like, how does he know that it does what I say it does? Like, how is knowledge of this transferred? Do we have to test this on somebody? Is there, like, a willing third party that he could, like, charm? Let's say all those details get worked out during the 3 weeks. This is what I spend my time doing. So let's just say that he's willing to buy it. He understands, is fully confirmed that it does what I say it does. It's definitely a scepter of charm. It's legit. So now I want to know how much he's willing to pay. So I'm going to put a number out there. I'm going to just put the number 5,000 out there. He's got a dumb friend that's willing to let him try. That's what I thought. Yeah. Here's a question. We'll throw a little wrench in the engine here. Does he attempt to charm me to try and just take it for free? It's possible, right? I'm gonna roll with advantage. No, with disadvantage. I don't think he's inclined to do that, but I think it's a possibility. Because if I gave this to a group of players, they would absolutely charm pretty much everybody to try and get shit for free and get shit done. So that's the question I ask with disadvantage. Let's see. We got an 8 and a 6. So a weak yes. What does that mean? It's the same situation when wears off, though. Yes. Correct. But I think he would say that it's sort of like if your drug dealer robs you or something. Like, are you really going to go to the cops? You know? Like, I would say Garland does not look intimidating in any way. Look at him. He's right there. You can see him. Not very intimidating looking. I don't have any backup. I don't have any, guard, nothing. It's just like, I'm a guy. I brought in this weird scepter. I'm hoping to sell it. So he's hoping that he'll be able to just take it and send me somewhere, to fuck off. And then by the time I snap out of it, what's my recourse? He's got it hidden away in a safe somewhere. And he'll just say, "What scepter? What are you talking about?" So we've got a weak yes. And I have to determine how that's different than just a yes. He slyly implies he might do that. Oh, like he's just jokingly says, like, "Oh, I could just use this and charm you and take it." And then I jokingly respond that I could just slit your throat. Okay. Yes, but then I think that goes back to the crux of the issue there of he does not find me intimidating. So I could say whatever I want, but do I intimidate him enough off of the plan? I think if I had said yes, or if the roll had been yes, he would have just tried it. But I think you're right. Here he just kind of suggests that he might try it. Or, he just throws it out into the ether that such a thing could be a possibility. Just to see how I'll kind of react. And if I kind of back down and like, "Oh, that would be awfully scummy of you, sir," then, he knows I'm just a pissant that wouldn't do anything afterwards. But if I really intimidate him and he believes that I'd slit his throat afterwards, then, maybe he'd think twice. This is good. So I'm going to roll a guile check. We're gonna roll a guile. We'll set the DC at 10. So D20 plus D4. I already failed. Yeah, I got a 7. So, there you go. I did not come off as intimidating enough. Which I think is somewhat believable. So yeah, I mean, I certainly could have just hand-waved this whole exchange and just got my money for selling this thing, but now we have a situation. He is gonna try and charm me. Now, that doesn't mean he's gonna succeed, but I remember when I first got the scepter, I said that I was gonna have it. I think I said I could use it like 3 times a day, and its check was gonna be set at 15. I'm almost certain I said this. So I have to beat a will check of 15 to avoid being charmed. Alright, we already got it. 19. Alright. The smarter move is to say, I have a guy outside in case this happens. Yeah, I suppose, but in some ways that's almost less believable, because why wouldn't I have the guy right there that could just react if he tried to charm one of us? Like, why would he be outside? You know? But no, this is what happened. So, he didn't really think I was intimidated anyway. He tried to use it to charm me, and it failed. Because it's not, you know, it's not infallible. You can't charm anything and everything on the planet willy-nilly. So he charmed his dumb friend and proved that it worked. But I am a man of stronger will than that. So I guess he tried using it, and he tried having me leave the scepter there and just heading across town or something. Because we know, he's known from the test that it only lasts like 10 minutes. So he just told me to head across town. And then, gosh, I mean, at this point, do I want to sell it to him? Sniping to stay out of charming range? Yeah, but I mean, in the time that it would take him to try to charm one and then charm the other, like, a dagger could hit a throat, you know? So. But I think you are right that I should have thought of that. I should have hired a little sellsword just to be there with me. Because now we have kind of an awkward situation. He didn't charm me. He's holding the scepter. Do I just, like, grab it out of his hands? Do I threaten him again? Or do I just be like, all right, you tried that once, now let's just do business and be on our way? Obviously, this guy's a little bit of a piece of shit. But he either has money or he doesn't. We already know that he deals in criminal goods, so I guess I could threaten to report him, but it's kind of a Weasley thing to do. But I suppose. So yeah, I guess I'll tell him you tried that once. It didn't work. Now pay me 5,000 silver. Or I'm going to report you to the authorities. And take the scepter back. Lie and say I'm protected from it, then make the sale. I mean, I guess that's the implication there, is that I am protected from it in some way, and then that it won't work. So now I guess let's decide if he will sell it for 5,000. Let's do another guile check, I suppose. Just to see how he reacts to that, or if he, like, you know, again, is not really thoroughly intimidated anyway. So we'll set the DC at 10 again. I think it should be okay. There we go. We passed. All right. So that decided if he was intimidated by me, which I think he is now, in that he believes that I'm protected. But now we need to decide that if he goes through the sale or what, I mean, what else would he do? Would he flee? Would he panic? Would he have his goon try and attack me? I mean, it's... I guess we could roll subjective. I think we're probably spending too much time here with this. But it's tricky to just get into the mindset of different people and like how they would react to different things. The idea of lying about it now, we're going to get rid of the awkwardness. Oh. Oh, because I knew that of course he'd try it. That's true. That is true. All right, I'm just gonna roll deterministic to see, will he pay 5,000 silver for this thing? No, he will not pay 5,000 silver. I think we can infer that he's not gonna pay more than 5,000 silver. So less than 5,000. Will he pay 4,000 silver for this? A 4 again. He will not pay 4,000 silver for this. We're dwindling here. Maybe because, you know, it didn't work on me. So it's like, it's got a 50-50 shot as far as he can see. Alright, this is going to be my final offer with this fucker before I take it elsewhere. Will he pay 3,000 silver for this? I rolled a 4 again? Come on. What are the odds of that? That's lame. What if I rolled again? Okay, a 5. A weak no. Alright, we're getting close then. 2,800. I can sense he's caving. No, come on! Fuck it, we're going with 2,800. I'm sick of rolling. Fuck your rolls. 2,800. I'm getting robbed here. This was a disaster. Although, I made up the 5,000 number off of no thoughts in my head. So, 2,800 is fine. Okay, deal done. It's over. I think 2,800 silver for one object we found in a small dungeon is pretty good overall. Because I don't even know... I mean, I don't think value of things for treasure and stuff goes that high. I mean, treasure, high value items, that's D20 times 100. That would max out at 2,000 silver. So we already got more than that. Alright, I'm going to put it straight in the bank then. 3,500 plus 2,800 is 6,300? Yeah. Sold scepter to asshole merchant. Let's give him a name. Who's an asshole? trying to think of an ass. I don't want to offend anyone now that I've really centered on this asshole concept. It has some weird ass names. Weird ass names in this PDF. Fred Durst. Damn. So targeted. Alright, we'll call him Fred. That's fine. Sold scepter to asshole merchant Fred. 2800. Okay. So that was 3 weeks now that have gone by. I spent the money for my room and board and all that. And I mean, it didn't really go into the extra costs involved. I guess it just kind of lumps it all in there. But yeah, I was thinking like, you know, the cost of the land, the cost of any permits, you know, things like that, taxation. I guess that's kind of all wrapped in there. It seems kind of low though, doesn't it? Seems kind of low. But I suppose it's a small zoo. I mean, essentially this is just like a few cells. A few exhibits. And probably we have like a wooden fence kind of around the, so you know, people can't just look at it from a distance. But yeah, this is basically just a fenced-in circle with just a few kind of pens with exhibit, you know, locked-in kind of cages and stuff. So I mean, I guess 5,000. So at this point, I would say, you know, the fence is kind of being worked on. And I probably made them prioritize the big cage, big enough to hold a griffin, perhaps. You know, just put that out there, get people talking. Like, oh, there's a crazy guy outside of town. He's putting up a place to look at animals, and he's gonna have a griffin. Get word of mouth spreading. So yeah, I guess once the griffin cage is done, then we can start this expedition. Is this circus sideshow style? Oh, what do you mean exactly? Like they go from exhibit to exhibit? And it's like, and here we have the incredible griffin. I mean, I was thinking more just like a zoo that people just walked through and could look into the exhibits and without, you know, anybody explain. I mean, maybe there'd be like plaques or something to explain certain features. Because I also want vendors to come, you know, selling food and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I was just thinking like a zoo. Yeah, intense. No, I definitely envision more of a zoo. Because circus, sideshow, all that, I mean, it's that it seems to have more of an air of like mystery about these things, and like, oh, you know, oh, look at, you know, this incredible rare thing, and there's an air of mystique about it, where I want to demystify all this. I want to just things kind of just in a somewhat natural habitat existing. Now the griffin, that's gonna be rough. I mean, I don't know what to do to make that feel natural for it. We'd have to have a very big cage. Vendor permits. I mean, of course, yeah. I could hire a bard, a tour guide. I mean, eventually, if the zoo gets big enough, yes. Right now, it's going to be, if you're standing in the middle of the zoo, you can see everything from one thing, and yeah, I don't know. It's going to start out pretty small. But all right, let's look at the costs for this expedition. We're gonna want to go with chains, right? I mean, it just seems dumb to not do chains. So that's 50 silver for 50 feet, compared to 5 silver for 50 feet of rope. How much rope do we need, or how much chain do we need? I don't know. A lot more than 50, right? 100? Is 100 feet of chain enough? Again, we don't really have a great idea of the size of this creature. Is it the size of, like, a car, do you think? Is that what we're thinking of? How many times could you wrap 100 feet of chain around a Buick? These questions and more are what we ask during solo role-playing. At least a car. I need to ask the ranger. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he could tell me, but as a DM, I kind of need to decide. A truck. So like a Ford F-150. What would that be for, like, a car? Is that the diameter? What's the diameter of a truck? That can't be the term that we're looking for. Good God, what's the diameter of a Ford F-150? I mean, what is that? It's gotta be, what, 6 feet wide? More than that? No, not more than that. Can't be more than that. These are probably numbers that we could find out. But let's say 6 feet wide. I mean, the truck is sort of a weird approximation. But I guess with the griffin's, like, legs and stuff, maybe. So, you know, 5 feet. So that's what, 22 feet around? So with 100 feet of chain, this is ballparking. 100 feet of chain, we could probably wrap it around a griffin 5 times. That's not enough, right? Nowhere near. So 200 feet of chain, 10 times? That's quite a bit. I mean, there is the factor of the wings as well, but those can kind of be folded in. I don't think that's a huge deal. So 200 feet of chain, maybe with some rope to throw in there. Let's say 200 feet of chain. Okay, so that's 200 silver for the chain, but we can reuse that for all the other creatures we're going to capture, so it's an investment. 200 feet of chain. Let's buy 200 feet of rope. So that's 220. Then we're gonna need they're about 80 to 85 inches. What? Diameter of an F-150, or are you talking about width? Probably width is what you're talking about. That's more than 6 feet. That's like 7 feet. Okay, so maybe we can wrap it around 8 times. So climbing spikes would be 50 silver for all of my people. That seems like a lot. We probably don't need to go that fancy. We're gonna look for people that have some experience with climbing. I don't know. I mean, we need the net. Is a net an item of some kind? I don't. Oh, it's net. So this is like a standard net. We need like quadruple that. So let's spend 100 on the net. So what are we at? Like 320. We'll probably want to buy maybe a couple tents. So 520. We'll need food. 2 days of travel rations is 5 per. Let's say 10 per. There's gonna be 7 of us, so that's 70. So we're at what now? Like 590, 600. I don't know if we'll need much else. Let's just spend 700, and then if I think of something else, it's factored in. So we're gonna spend 700 silver for this expedition, not counting. That's just equipment costs. That's not even the hiring costs. Hiring costs. I mean, I don't know exactly how that works. Like per day, do you pay them at the start of each morning, or do we do like half now, half when we get back? Let's say half now, half when we get back. I mean, it is a risky operation, I guess. I don't know if I have to pay extra for that. It doesn't really say that. I mean, the morale rules, sure, but it doesn't say anything about, paying extra for a risky mission or anything. So what did we say? So let's assume 3 days. And let's just say no matter what, I'm going to pay him for 3 days, even if it doesn't take that long. That's how good of a guy I am. So we said level 2 sell swords. That's 20 silver per day per one. So that's 60 silver per times 5. That's 300. So that's 300 right there. Then the ranger is also level 2. So that's 40 per day. So 120. 360. Damn. Ranger's expensive, but we need him. So that's 660 in recruitment costs. Now, some of them might not survive. So we may not have to pay that full amount at the end. But right now we have to pay half that out. So that's 330 that I have to pay right now. That can't be right. 270. Okay. Okay. And that should be everything. Oh, we haven't bought the scroll. Right, we need the levitate scroll. I wish I could remember. I think I said double for charge, then double again for empowered. I believe that's what I said. And I think we said the baseline for scrolls, unless it's like something really crazy, is 300. So we're going to spend 600 for this levitate scroll. Damn. Numbers add up. $4,670 is what I have left. Also, I should probably buy armor for myself, because I got rid of it after the spores. So, rare hide armor is +3 defense for $500. Or I could just put on a chain shirt. Yeah, I mean, we need to spend a lot of money on our... on the zoo. So let's just go with a chain shirt. I'm gonna just spend this 155 chain shirt, and so that bumps our defense up by 2. I'm back to 11, and this should be. I'm a good guy in quotation marks. I'm a good guy. He's a good guy. He's not like Fred Durst. Tell them their family will receive it. If they die, that takes care of the dangerous mission cost. Alright. That's probably fair. And it does seem like something that Garland would do, so fine. I'll pay out even if they don't make it back. Okay. Then I think we're ready to head into the mountains. So we'll probably just follow this road, which goes past. Oh, I don't even have that written. I had this written down at some point. I must not have that map anymore. No. No, I only have Ox Hill written down, which is the village right next to the mountains here. So pass through unnamed farming village 1, go to Ox Hill, and then head up into the mountains from there. I don't know if we have a time frame for how long it takes to get to Ox Hill. I still don't have a scale anywhere. But I don't know, probably like a 4-hour walk or something. So let's say we arrive in Ox Hill around noon. And I don't think anything... This is all pretty well patrolled, maintained area. There's nothing really dangerous going on in the farmland here. I think I do have a document that's like... things to happen in the moorlands, or, you know, just like... No, I don't think I have it up. It's somewhere. But... there are a lot of... I mean, RPGs are so, like, widespread. They've been around for so long. There's lists for everything. So I found these that are like... You know... things if you're in a sewer. 10 folk to encounter in a sewer, and 10 minor locales of interest in a sewer. Or if you're in a desert, 6 sun-scorched ruins, and 10 things to happen in a sandstorm. It's all very interesting. Very useful stuff. I probably have something in here for a mountain. I don't know. I have some other documents that I could bring up, but anyways. So yeah, we make it to Ox Hill. It's not a super populated area. It's just where a bunch more farmers live that work the region. That's pretty much who lives in all these villages. Farmers and their families, and you know, a few other miscellaneous businesses. I don't think there's probably even like an inn in Ox Hill, because there aren't that many travelers in this region yet. Why would there be? So yeah, we're not really planning to stay. We're gonna start heading up into the mountains. And now we need to decide how exactly we traverse some mountains. The ranger's gonna handle some things for us. Oh yeah, let's determine the weather. That is going to be a factor. Let's determine the weather for our trip up into the mountains. The D20 roll. 5. It is overcast. Because it's still spring. It's May. Overcast is not too bad. I think that could be worse. So I think we probably want to have like one random encounter roll just to see, you know, if we encounter anything that's not a griffin, or maybe is a griffin. It's possible. But I'm debating about how many like climbing checks we want to have. I don't want to just have, because I don't think we're just going to be scaling the side of a mountain, you know, just to start. Presumably there are like somewhat, not paths maybe, but I don't know. I've never been really much up into the mountains outside of like populated areas of the Rocky Mountains where there's like roads and stuff. I've never been into the wild of mountains. So I'm not really sure, but there's got to be some navigatable paths that don't involve just like solo climbing a sheer mountain. So I don't think we're going to do climb checks yet. That may come when we actually spot a griffin nest, which is going to be high up. There may have to be some, but more likely we want to like provoke the griffin into a more flat terrain so we can capture it. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I almost certainly am going to have to reveal that I have magical abilities to this group. But let me write down that I do have levitate, scroll, charged. All right, so we're just heading up into the mountains. Let's do a random encounter check. Random encounters. Here we go. Nah, this doesn't... I don't know. I mean, some of these... Like a plot NPC. I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. Let's just see what happens. So let's do a roll. A 5. Okay, we found a level 3 monster. Now we could roll on these other things just to do, but I can also roll on like the activity, intent. Yeah, I guess we'll roll motivation here. Level number 9, opportunity trade with a level 3 monster. So this is like a sentient monster. Its reaction is friendly. Oh god, it's another fucking giant frog. I'm gonna kill it on sight. And the complication is a bounty. Okay, a level 3 monster. And they don't group it by level, which is really obnoxious. And we went over this before. That's how we ended up with the giant frog. I don't want a giant frog again. I'm done with them. So it has to be something intelligent. Something that has an opportunity or trade. It's got a bounty. I mean, a bounty suggests that it's like a criminal or something, you know. There's a known bounty out for it. So I guess we could just do like a level 3 criminal. But that's not really a monster, is it? All the humans listed are level 1. But I mean, you can just go to this and level them up to anything. Do we want to find a criminal up here, I guess? A friendly criminal. and one of the sellswords recognizes him as there's been a bounty about? How about a strangely intelligent ogre that tries to reason with you? Well, hold on. What level is an ogre? Don't get ahead of yourself. Level 6, Durden. You crazy? You trying to kill our whole team? The Northman, though, is level 2. We could bump that up to 3. Trying to think of just like a friendly criminal that has a bounty for some reason. I'm gonna roll on this thing. I'm gonna roll his reason for being up in the mountains. 1, to seek power or domination. Okay, so he's seeking power up here. And again, I'll remind you that there are some ruins up here, the flooded ruins, which is formerly a facility for the Society, where they kept magical artifacts that were too dangerous. So okay, this is a criminal looking to plunder its depths, perhaps. He's trying to find it. Trying to make his way to the flooded ruins up there. Because he heard that there's magical treasure. Because, you know, the thief that created the spores, he found magical treasure. Maybe that word of that somehow spread without the full knowledge of what exactly he took and the problems it created. Alright, so he's friendly, but he does have the bounty. So what did he do? Must have murdered somebody or... Probably thinking too much about this, right? Well, I mean, we'll just say he's got a bounty out in Guthwald. I'm leaning towards he killed somebody just because it's the easiest thing for there to be a bounty out for him. Not that he, like, oh, he lied to somebody or it was bad. He lied real bad. Murder's usually the easiest route. Maybe he had good reasons. It's a little strange that he would be friendly towards this group of 7 people hiking up in the mountains that happen to come across him. I think we can change that to be, like, friendly but wary, you know? He's, like, ready to bolt or something like that. But he doesn't want to just be hostile immediately, so he's putting on a good front. We need a name for this wanted criminal. I need something kind of... Nah, I mean, it's like one. He's not like a recurring murderer or something like that. So he wouldn't have like a nickname or anything. He would just have a name. He would just have a name. I mean, why don't I have a name generator like anywhere? I used to have Knave up. How does this rulebook not have a name generator? Let's pick one of these. Wayland. We'll go with Wayland. At Wayland, local criminal with bounty, looking for flooded ruins. Okay. So he's ostensibly friendly. What would Garland do? I mean, we'll just say that we're aware of this guy's bounty. Like, we've seen some posters up looking for him. We recognize his face. Would Garland want to arrest this man? Not really. Just from a pragmatic standpoint, we're on an expedition right now to get a griffin. I have everything in place for this expedition. Capturing this guy, taking him back to town would throw everything off. I could kill him, but really, I mean, to what benefit other than maybe the hopes that he wouldn't kill again? But that's really like just an extrajudicial killing. That's being judge, jury, executioner without really knowing what he did or why he did, you know, anything. I don't know if Garland believes in that either. He believes in society, goddammit. The rule of law. So I don't think we'll really do anything with him, despite sitting here for 5 minutes thinking of this. It's just not benefit, and he's certainly not going to try anything. There's 7 of us. So it's kind of just like, hey, how you doing? Probably just pretend that we don't even know who he is. Make him work for us. How, like what? What are we gonna do? Say, oh, you better help us catch this griffin or we'll turn you in. Then you have someone working under coercion who easily... I mean, again, we haven't decided his real personality or something, but if this is a bloodthirsty dude, he could betray us at any moment while we're trying to capture a fucking griffin. It's just an unknown element that I wouldn't want to throw in. Half the wage? The wage is shit already. If he was looking to do honest work, he wouldn't be a criminal up here in the mountains. No, I just don't see a situation where we really interact with this man. At least not yet. I mean, he's on paper. He's in the world now. Maybe someday. So yeah, I mean, I guess we'd maybe chat a little bit. And we'd explain that we're here to catch a griffin. Capture one alive. And I guess he would probably say that he's looking for the flooded ruins, just because what else is he going to say? That he's just here up for a walk? Now, would I warn him off of the ruins? Because I know, Garland knows, that gem, the mushroom gem, came from there. Or that's supposedly what he's put together of it. I guess he probably would warn him off. Which is probably, I mean, if I say that, oh, you know, there was a gem that caused the spores, and it came from here, that would probably be big news to the sellsword, so I probably don't want that getting out. Because that could really bring a lot more attention to these ruins. I mean, look, Garland almost certainly is going to be going to check out those ruins at some point. And maybe at that point we do bump into Wayland again. and he's got some experience with the ruins. I don't know. We'll see. So I guess maybe I wouldn't warn him off. But I just tell him, you know, best of luck and be cautious and all that. I've heard that it's kind of dangerous. And then we move on. All right, that was our random encounter. Okay. So now the ranger. What's funny is I'm a ranger. I didn't even think about it till now, but that's literally my class. And I have advantage on wilderness survival. That's my whole class. Why did I hire this guy? Well, what's done is done. Alright, so we're gonna have him roll wilderness survival. He's not gonna get advantage, I don't think, because he's not an actual character class. So I probably have better odds. Because he's just gonna get his D20 plus D4. We'll set the DC pretty high for the first night. We're gonna set it at 15. Here's his roll. He rolled a 20. God damn. Alright, he was worth the money then. That's good. Garland was thinking, oh, maybe I could just do this myself. But no, this guy, he proved himself. Alright, so he spotted the griffin. Now I'm sort of picturing like Rescuers Down Under. Where there was like kind of a precipice. And then the eagle or whatever was nested like right under that in like a little nook in the cliff. That's sort of what I'm picturing. So I think probably what our ranger has seen, he sees the nest, but it's high up on this cliff. I'm just going to throw numbers out there. All right, get ready. I'm going to say it's 200 fucking feet up the cliff. And it's about 30 feet down from the top of the cliff, from the top of the precipice there. So it's just a little carved out nook in the side of this cliff. And that's where this griffin is. And I'm gonna say that it's like 6 p.m. or so. I don't think it's said like it's sleeping pattern or anything like that. Yeah. It doesn't have eggs. We're gonna nix that right now. No eggs. This is a male, and it does not have a mate or anything. So it's just kind of a lonesome griffin. 6 p.m. It's just in its nest chilling. Maybe it just ate or something like that. It just got back. And there's the situation. So 200 feet up means that I could teleport up to it. I could also theoretically teleport it down to us. Did I spend the 300 for the chemical that I need? I don't know if I even deducted that or not. I don't think I did. Man, this is an expensive thing. But this is the prime jewel. This griffin's going to be with us for years. This griffin will probably outlive me. Alright, I'm going to deduct 300 then, because I must have forgotten. Alright, so I've got, yeah, dream sleep. Then we'll just call it. And I have enough, let's say, I discussed it with the apothecary, that it will put a griffin to sleep for some time. A few hours. Yeah, okay. Good. Well, we're good now. So we didn't really go over the concept of administering the chemical. It's got to be administered orally, of course. But getting this thing to open its mouth and drop down some chemical, tricky. Quite tricky. Because even if we have it netted down, and we've got 6 people here holding down the net with all their body weight, and it is somewhat, like, pinned, even still, like, its mouth is going to be fucking snapping, you know? We would need, like, an ogre to just, like, hold its neck and pour this in. I'm thinking. I'm thinking of teleportation. Bait it. Yeah, no, you're right. That's what I was thinking of. Wrap a meat around it. Well, it's a liquid, so coat a piece of meat with it. But yeah, no, that's exactly what I was thinking of. But I just said that it just ate, so we're gonna have to wait. So I think we probably maybe camp out here or like nearby, like out of sight maybe or something. Wonder what it eats. I mean, pretty much anything, but what is here in the mountains that it would eat? Goats? Be a goat. Maybe I should have the ranger go hunt a goat while we sit here. There's 2 options then. We bait it by leaving out meat. But that's a good question. This is probably something we could actually Google. Will a bird of prey eat something? Will they eat a carcass? Or would I have to just have like a live goat just like sitting there? I don't know. I don't think they'll eat a carcass. Will a bird of prey eat a small child? That was the Google suggest. Probably get thirsty as well. That's true. If I could find... but... If I found, like, a watering hole and I dumped the chemical in, like, that would dilute it quite a bit. I don't think that would work as well. Yeah, apparently they will eat carrion. So, that might work then. We get a goat, we kill it. Maybe just like cut open its its belly a little bit, and then just douse the meat that's laying there with dream sleep, and then we just kind of wait. I think that's probably the best plan. My other plan was to actually teleport up there, because it is within distance. And then, like, just sort of, just like nudge a drugged piece of meat towards it, and it would have been like, oh, look at this piece of meat I didn't eat yet. Now I'm gonna eat it now. But then I would have had to teleport the griffin back down, which would be a little trickier. I should have gotten the blow dart. Yeah, that's potentially true. I wonder if blow dart is in here. There's darts, but no blow dart. But I mean, you could just have an arrow that's coated. And that, I mean, that is a possibility, but there is a difference, right, between like poison and venom. Between a chemical that you consume. Like, say I coated the tip of an arrow with Tylenol, and then I shot somebody with it. Would that relieve their headache? Just another question we ask here during solo role-playing. But no, I think this plan will be okay. So we're gonna camp out. I bought the tents. We're just gonna hang out. Just have a good time. Probably a distance away. I don't want any smell of human near where this griffin is gonna eat this goat. No, I want it to think that everything's good. So we're gonna probably head like 20 minutes away and just camp out. And now I need to see if we have another random encounter. So we're gonna do the OSR way, which is a D6. If we roll a 1 or a 2, we get a random encounter. I rolled a 2, so now we're gonna roll on the random encounter chart. Here, roll a D20. I got a 10. That's a level 1 monster. Its motivation is gathering resources, and it's friendly. I'm gonna ignore the friendly part, because I mean, honestly, like a level 1, that's basically like I found my goat. I guess my goat wandered into our camp gathering resources and we killed it. Is that the encounter we want? Sure. Fine. Things work faster if introduced into the bloodstream usually. The only reason I question is like snake venom. You can just drink that. I believe I remember reading that you can just drink snake venom and it won't do anything to you because it's not a poison. It has to be like injected into the bloodstream. All right, fine. Well, either way, whatever. We get our goat, because that's certainly not a difficult task, no matter what. We got some serendipity, though. All right, and the night passes. Morning comes. Let's do another random encounter. Check. All right, no random encounter. Good. It's digesting medicine if you put it into the bloodstream. It'll overdose. Okay. Then, yeah, I mean, we probably could shoot it with arrows with dream sleep. Since I doubt we'll overdose the griffin. But I don't think we really want to... We want this to be as gentle of a process as possible. So if it just falls asleep while eating a goat, and then it wakes up in a cage, that's the least objectionable way that this could go. As far as, like, its mind... I mean, it's really, honestly, a horrible thing we're doing. I guess my hope eventually is that we have, like, some sort of massive aviary or something, and we can get in a mate, and we can have multiple griffins, and they just kind of live in this thing. But really, what we're doing in the near future is just horrible. But that's the nature of a lot of animals in zoos. I mean, this thing won't be flying for a long time, I guess is what I'm saying. Unless I charmed it, I guess. Like, if I charmed it and for 10 minutes a day, it could just fly around and then come back. So maybe I shouldn't have sold that scepter for that reason. But we could just hand wave all these things and not worry about it. Is there an illusion spell where I can still make it look like it's outside, like a VR goggle? I mean, absolutely there is, but the cost of perpetually maintaining that illusion would be pretty much astronomical. Alright, so morning came, no random encounter. We've got our goat. It's dead. We're gonna go out there, cut it open, spill out some of its innards a little bit, and then douse them in the dream sleep. So that's used. It's done now. All our hopes are on this goat. All right, we need to decide then, does the griffin go for the goat? I'm going to go with an interaction. I think I like the results here. I think we're going to roll with advantage just because this is going to be within sight of it. It's just quick, easy meal. So we're going to go with advantage on the interaction. Does the griffin go for the goat? We got a 6. It's complicated. Great. That's just what I love to hear. It's complicated. The most ethical thing is if I could tame it. Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty great, but that's quite the, I mean, for an adult griffin to be tamed in captivity, that's rough. It's complicated. How would this be complicated? I guess, like, if some other creature came over and started munching on it, and then the griffin attacked that creature, that would be complicated. Had I rolled deterministic, it would have been a weak yes. I don't know how I would have decided that one either. I guess, all right. I mean, if I'm going to be somewhat fair while still abiding by it, it comes for the goat, but it senses, it smells that something is off. Maybe it smells that we're all, like, waiting there. Yeah, so I guess that's what we'll go with. It does not eat the drugged meat. Not yet. I mean, it's like sniffing around in the air once it lands. And we're kind of hiding behind rocks, waiting for it to fall asleep. And it seems to not be about to eat the meat. So I either could wait and hope that it does, or we jump out and try and net it. Oh, God. Oh, God. This is a terrible situation. We could all die. Okay, this is my plan. It's very stupid and places most of the risk on me. Let's go. I'm just gonna tell the others behind there, I'm gonna whisper that when it turns to jump out and net it, then I'm going to teleport behind the griffin. So I'm picturing just kind of a flat rock surface here where we place the goat, large enough for the griffin to land comfortably. And they're all waiting behind some rocks. And I teleport to the other side of the griffin on the flat platform. So I need to roll for portal to see if I succeed, which most likely I will, but I rolled a 1. I rolled a 1 and a 1. Now, I don't think anything bad happens. I mean, depending on your DM, they could be dickish about it and say you teleport off into the wilderness or something. Why do I always lose this? But specifically, I don't think there's any rules for spell failure beyond that. Oh no, critical failure, wild magic roll. Huh. All right, great. So I lose a health, because that happens. And then we roll on the wild magic table. Here we go. 13. Paralysis. So, I'm paralyzed. I don't think I'm like convulsing or anything. I think I just am like frozen. I can't move, and they're probably wondering what the fuck I'm doing. But I don't think the griffin has specifically no one's done anything yet. We are gonna have to decide if nothing else happens at a certain point. The griffin is either gonna eat the goat or leave, and we are gonna have to decide it. But I'm gonna give myself 1 turn here to try and snap out of it. So it's a magic check 10 of magic check of 10. Okay, I think I just rolled a 13. Again. Is that for real? Is that for real what happened? Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. So I did snap out of it. I'm gonna try to cast Portal again to try and salvage this situation. Here we go again. A 3 and a 1, so I just failed. So that time it just kind of short circuit, like nothing happens. And I'm just like, oh, come on! My powers! But now I'm gonna decide if the griffin eats it or leaves. So we just need a deterministic roll here. I'm not gonna weight it in any way, so we're just gonna ask, does the griffin eat the goat? 8. Yes, alright. He decided that there was, nothing enough happened. And he just kind of went with the cheap meal. It's perhaps the least interesting choice, or least interesting result here. Had he flown away, I don't know what exactly we would have done. I probably would have gone with plan B, which would have tried to just put some meat in its nest. Like right now, like as it flew off, I probably would have grabbed the meat, teleported up to the nest, and just kind of left it there. And it almost certainly would eventually eat that, I would imagine. Unless it really is just like, no, fuck this chemical, I'm not touching it. In that case, this plan never was going to work. But either way, okay, it eats the goat. Let's ask... Alright, I'm just going to ask this. Is that enough of the chemical to knock it out? And I'm going to roll with advantage here. Alright, we got 9s both times, so it is. It is enough to knock it out, but the second follow-up question is it enough to knock it out immediately? And for that, I'm not going to roll with advantage. 8. Yes, okay. Rolls are rolls, man. That's how it goes. So while it's chewing on this goat, it just starts swaying and then collapses onto the ground. I mean, yeah, that was kind of best case scenario, to be honest. I feel like maybe we did this too easily. But either way, we're going to wrap it up. Which is going to take some time. Because getting the chains and stuff like underneath its body when it's just unconscious, that's going to take a while. Probably that's going to take like an hour to wrap this thing up in the full length of chains. And now I'm going to use the levitate scroll. It's charged. There's no check for that. It just happens. So it starts floating, and I can just kind of lift it with one hand now. And I'm going to break one of my flight totems. So I start flying. I send the crew back down. And then I fly back to the zoo. Right? I mean, what... I guess there could be some complication. Okay. Oh, let's roll again to see if it wakes up. I'm going to roll at disadvantage. Does the griffin wake up? Mid-flight, I mean. I rolled 8s twice. What the... God, this roll... Look at this. Look at this string of rolls. 8, 9, 9, 8, 8, 8. What the hell, man? Okay, it wakes up mid-flight. Excellent. That really solves so many things. It's wonderful. Okay, well... Let me double-check the levitate spell. It's 1 hour. Doesn't say anything about, like... It's not even an opposed check, really. I could have cast it on it when it was awake. But it can't break out of it or anything either way. Although it says allows the target to float in the air up or down. So I feel like it could control it. But I don't know. Maybe we bought a variant where it just causes the target to float for an hour. It'd become weightless for an hour. But it could still struggle. So struggling against the chains. We're going to have to make this a strength check. This thing is quite strong. So it does get D12 on all its rolls. I think the DC probably... I mean, again, how do you even decide something like that? If you were playing any game, D&D, 5th edition, whatever, and you had a target that was wrapped in chain 8 times around, what would the DC be to break out of it? That information is probably available somewhere. This is saying DC 20 for D&D. But this person says, in real life, breaking chains without a crowbar is near impossible. I tend to agree. I mean, that is a supernatural thing. So I'm going to set the DC at 30. Because 8 times around, and without any form of, like, leverage or anything like that, like, this is purely, it's like wings and stuff straining against chain. Yeah, it's DC 30. So it's possible, but he'd basically have to crit and roll like a 10 or higher on the D12. You already rolled a 9, so yeah, he's not breaking out. He rolled a 20. I mean, if I had set the DC at 20, we'd be up shit creek. But no, I do think it would be very difficult to break out of that, even for a Griffin. That was the whole point. Had I made it rope, though, I think we would have been fucked. I could not in good conscience set the DC to be higher than 20 for rope. Alright, so it's struggling, but it's not breaking out. And we make it back to the zoo. And I float it into the newly built cage where it will reside for some amount of time. I mean, I feel bad. Garland definitely feels bad as a character. Like, it kind of makes him question if he's doing the right thing. I think, you know, Durden, had you picked some other creature that was just, I don't know, more monstrous, less, I don't know, something that's just kind of vile. Like, I don't know, a Minotaur or something, or a Naga. You'd pick the Naga. Like, there's not going to be much sympathy for a Naga that's been restrained. But there's something about just a big bird. You feel bad about caging. But it's done. As for actually getting the chains off, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think we'll probably have to drug it again. Because try to tame it. I mean, yeah, I guess if we just I mean, you say that, and it is a very video game thing to do. But if I went out in the real world and I captured a bald eagle, how long would it take, and what would be the process before I could say, oh, I tamed a bald eagle? Not, you know, a baby bald eagle, but a grown adult. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't even know where to begin. And this is like if I was DMing for my family or something like that, and they did all this and they got a griffin or something similar, and they're like, we want to spend the next 2 years taming this thing, and we will just spend the 2 years doing that. I'd be like, all right, you know, because it's just like, that's what they want, the play, you know, and they'll have fun with it and they'll enjoy it in the end. Logic can kind of get thrown out, but that I'm a very logical player and very logical DM. I would never think to ask my DM to let me train a griffin, because that's what I would say. I bring up the bald eagle comparison. This is fantasy world. I could use some befriend animal magic. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Magic does break the rules. There is speak with animals, which is already... that already would go quite a ways to, I think, forming a bond with it. But I think it would just curse me endlessly. It would be like I kidnapped a woman, and it's like, yeah, I can talk to her. That really helps. That really helps the situation. But no, I mean, maybe I'm humanizing the griffin too much. Because again, like, if I kidnapped a woman and you said, oh, you could use some befriend woman magic. And it's like, does that really make it right? But I don't know. It would give it the chance to fly again. It just all seems so awful, what I've done. I regret all I've done. Alright, I'm just gonna spend... No, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not even gonna... We're not gonna belabor the point there. We get the chains off somehow, some way. I'm not gonna think about it too much. We get the chains off. It's in the cage. It's secure. I'm not even gonna roll to see if it could break out of the cage. It was built specifically to hold a griffin, essentially. And the crew makes it back, so I pay them the other 330 in full. Everyone did a good job. They didn't even have to throw a net around it. They didn't have to do much, to be honest. But that's how it worked out. I'm sure they're happy. So that's definitely going to be a big exhibit. I think a lot of people are going to come to see this griffin just kind of patrol around its cage. I imagine it looks fucking majestic. And to see it like that close up, I mean, people are going to probably travel. Some people are going to travel to see this thing. That's my belief. Drink it all away. You don't think his thought process would be like that? You just change foe to friend in its mind. I mean, you might be right. I could be convinced to go with that sort of plan, but it's... Right now, that's secondary. The primary plan is to get this zoo open, and I need more than one exhibit. So we're going to have to think of some other creatures, local stuff that I could potentially find. Hopefully... we need some things that are not quite as epic as the griffin. Just some smaller stuff we could find. Stuff like that giant frog. That giant frog was a little unique because it was like quite intelligent. It had a serial killer dungeon, but something like the giant frog. So that's what we're gonna have to ponder for next time. I don't know how successful this session was overall, but we definitely have a plan set in motion for going forward. I think it's a fun plan. I think that griffin hunt was quite the experience. Goblins. See, that gets into ethics a little bit too much. Kidnapping a sapient race and holding them in cages, that's a little much. A chupacabra. Maybe. I guess there's nothing that says the chupacabra can't exist in this setting. It just seems a little... It just seems a little real for some reason, even though it's not. I don't know. Yeah. So once we get a few more exhibits, whatever they might be, we can just open for business, and get that ball rolling. We can do some fun stuff with managing the zoo, getting word out there, getting some vendors in. Goblin carekeepers. Seems like a terrible idea. I'm gonna miss next Thursday. Oh no. Well, Durden, I'll have to soldier on without you. It is solo role-playing after all. But, you know, I'm sure we'll have Sonic here. Somebody to bounce suggestions off of. Yeah, but it's a fun idea. And then now, for my family's campaign, which is in the same world, in the same time frame, if they ever make it to this continent, I can be like, oh, outside of Guthwald, there's a zoo. And, you know, Garland's Emporium of the Weird and Unusual. And that, you know, there's just a cross link between two campaigns like that. I think that's pretty cool. All right. Well, I think that'll do us. I still don't know if I'm quite ready for level 3. I don't know how much I want to rush that along, because there's only 10 levels. Maybe at the end of next session, if we actually do some more stuff, we'll be level 3, more spells and stuff. World building, yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's kind of why partly I left the map fairly blank. Is just like, as we move around and we roll on random tables and things get discovered, you know, I can keep adding to the map new spots. So, you know, now I could put like a little zoo icon here. Good stuff. All right. Well, thank you for joining me, for chatting. I appreciate it. Fun stuff. Solo role-playing is a good idea that I'm glad I finally tried out. And who knows? Who knows where this will go from here? Plenty more adventures left. But for now, my name is Mang. This has been Solo Role Manging. And I'll see you fine folks next time.